falling deeper and deeper and deeper to the point that I couldn't stop crying.
Mm-hmm.
Even, I tried to pick myself up. I said, I'm going back to work. I'm going to continue on with my life, this is my new normal. And so I'm going to make the best of that, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to, try to be strong. But then one day I found myself just completely breaking down at work, and I just could not stop crying.
Mm-hmm.
Most times it would be like, okay, cry, and I'm like, okay, I cried, I had a good cry, I could go on. But this time I could not stop crying, and it was because I wasn't talking to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to burden my husband because I knew that he was grieving. He felt the loss himself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that he was trying to navigate his way through the grief
and
while also
way.
supporting me. So I didn't want to burden him with these feelings and these thoughts and, this deep depression and despair and, all this, this stuff. So it got really, really, really lonely, and I isolated myself from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it really did not help.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all. And I remember and you have to watch who you decide to open up to, I guess, because I know some people would try to say, oh, these things happen on God's time, and these, you can't rush it, or this and this and that. And I'm like, that's not helping me at all.
No.
It sounds encouraging,
Mm-hmm.
but it really isn't. And even, when talking to my husband, I mean, yes, he was going through the issues with me and all that stuff, but he couldn't relate to what I was feeling. He couldn't relate to, what had taken root inside of me. And I too had moments where I'd just be sitting at a traffic light crying because I'm like, I experienced this. I want, why isn't, and I would touch my belly, my empty belly, and be wondering, why is my womb still empty? Like, I would love a child so much with all my being, Lord, and you know this about me. So why have you left me in this state? Like, why do I have to be so alone in this? And yeah, you feel like no one understands. But one thing that helped me was to kind of change the way I perceive things and lean into people who, although you may not have understood what I was going through as far as infertility, our shared common ground was our love for each other.
Right.
So I could, take comfort in the fact that you care about what concerns me. And I could lean into that at least a little bit, and you didn't try to give me little cliche sayings of, like, oh, hang in there, God will come when you least expect it. Oh, that was one I got all the time. It'll happen when you least expect. That is not true. That did not happen for me. It may happen for other women, but that was not my story. So, and so having, someone to lean into. Right. Having someone to empathize with you instead of be sympathetic and say, oh, but at least you have X, Y, and Z, but to come in with you in that darkness and say, hey, let's find the light together.
Right.
That's what makes the difference. That's what helps you start to break that shell and pull yourself, out of the loneliness. And what kind of helped you?
The main thing, once I had that breakdown, I knew I absolutely need to get counseling. Outside of premarital counseling, I've never had counseling before, but I'm a huge proponent of it because I think it's necessary and not enough people do it, take advantage of it. And so for me, I like I said, I didn't want to feel as if I was a burden to my husband and just dumping on him and unloading on him. And then, my friends, like even you as, my best friend, I knew that you were going through your own struggles, but I didn't want to burden anyone. So I was like, it'll be easier to speak to a stranger, someone who is equipped to handle grief, and so I found a grief counselor, a Christian grief counselor, because that was important to me, that it was somebody who understood my faith as well, so that when I speak about that, they know what I'm talking about and not look at me like, you're kind of cuckoo. But, and so I found a Christian grief counselor, and she was amazing. Just being able to talk to somebody and unload, just scream, cry, whatever I was feeling that day. Anytime that we had this session, I would just, however I felt, we would just talk it out. And then she would give me, little things to do to kind of help to rein in the grief. Think about some of those things that you are grateful for. Of course, it's still a process to get over. Of course, you have all these things that you are grateful for, and you're not just discounting those things, but try to remember them as well, and not be so caught up in your despair and your grief that you can't remember the good things in your life. And so that was something that really, really helped me. And so I encourage everyone, regardless of what they may be going through, even if it's not anything dealing with, if it's not a woman going through any sort of child issue or, pregnancy issues, whatever, whatever issue you're going through, I'm always seek counseling. 100%. Yes, because you need that. You need someone that you can really confide in, and that can kind of help you work through and whatever it is.
It's important to learn how to unpack what you're feeling and what you're going through, and kind of go step by step and be systematic about it. And in my studies with pastoral counseling, so big proponent on counseling, go get it. We've learned to show the client, because it's Christian-based counseling, how to find the God exception. Because especially in people who feel lonely and depressed and isolated, you think that God has forsaken you. You think that you're alone in this. So in your conversation with your counselor, you're talking through your day. You're talking through how things have happened. You're talking through your life, and you're taught to find God exceptions. Like, oh, but this happened, how do you think that was able to happen? Oh, God did that for you, so God didn't really leave you alone, did he? He was there all along. You just kind of had to find him. So we find that God hasn't left us alone. He sits right there beside us in our loneliness, and he comforts us and he heals us. That's just like the scripture says, help me, God. I'm alone and I'm in distress and things are moving from bad to worse. Like, what is going on, God? Save me, please. And God is going to answer. God is there. And I just want to encourage someone today, if you are feeling loneliness in whatever stage, if it's infertility, if it's in child loss, seek counseling.
Yes. And often, like, my counselor had support groups. And so she would bring, certain women together, and we would discuss. I never went, but it is something that is an option.
Yes.
You can find a support group, and it's, a bunch of strangers. So if you're anything like me, where you feel like, I don't want to burden my family, I don't want to burden my, my partner, then seek out these support groups, and you can talk amongst strangers and just, let go, and nobody's judging you.
Exactly. And if you are, one of those people who aren't comfortable with strangers, like I said in the beginning, find someone who invested in you, who that they love and they care about you, and they are worried about what concerns you, and lean into them. If they're offering their support, if they're offering their shoulder to cry on, lean into your support system. It's very important to have a strong foundational support system in your life, whether that's via a counselor, a pastor, a deacon, a mentor, a best friend. Link into your support systems and use them, because that will help you to navigate those lonely waters and find your way through to the horizon.
Yes. And so our scripture, our overall theme for our channel,
once again, is Psalm 27:14. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he will strengthen your heart. Wait, we say, on the Lord. Until next time, continue to join us on this journey, and visit us on our Facebook page to continue this conversation. ChristiChristie on Facebook. It is a private page, but if you request to be added, you will be on there, and we can get to know each other a little bit better.
Yes. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next time.
Bye.